represent the Yay area.
If you watch part one, I appreciate you tapping in. If you're just joining us, this is where the story deepens. In part two, Ma Jane breaks down the culture of Los Angeles, gang life during the crack era, and the environment that shaped everything that came next.
53, July. So, yeah, I was safe to assume that you experienced the crack era firsthand, man. Tupac once said in one of his lyrics, and we're going to talk about Pac in a little bit, but I love what he said, that crack came and it strange how it rocked us. What was that era really like, especially in the LA area or the Compton area, man, with the gangbanging aspect of it? Because, you know, all of us dabble in hustling a little bit, but I'm sure there was extra edge when it comes to the, I don't know if it's a color thing or if it's just, again, a neighborhood thing. How did that work out? What was it like for y'all?
Man, when that era came, you had our neighborhood was tight, and when that shit came in, homies doing each other, homies selling drugs to the mothers, and homies was getting killed by selling drugs to. It fucked up the neighborhood. All the respect and loyalty that we had to each other went out the window when cocaine came to the hood. You had cats selling each other out. You had homies killing homies that made it. It was crazy. And then mobbing through the neighborhood was different because now I see the homie mama standing out there giving head or trying to do whatever she can do to get high. Some of the homies' fathers was out there getting high, and it was crazy. And I got to include myself on this. We didn't have no respect for the parents after that shit came, knocking out the homeboy daddy. It was just so disrespectful, and our neighborhood fell apart, like every other neighborhood, you know. And it was a bad time for us. Bad time.
Now, why do you think there's so little communication and explanation in our communities about that time, the way you just broke it down? Because most of the time that we hear, it's more glorified as opposed to talking about the actual unity that we used to have that no longer exists.
Anybody that can glorify those times is a clown. He's a fucking clown. If anybody can say that they came out of that era good, outside of making a lot of motherfucking money, but not looking back and seeing how we destroyed each other, what they want to call their communities, what we protected and all this bullshit, is a bunch of crock. Niggas sold each other out for the sack. Like I said, didn't nobody win in them times. We thought we was winning, but we wasn't. And we lost a lot of people in that time because you had a lot of cats in the hood that we ain't never had that kind of money. We ain't never making money like this. Now we are able to buy cars and, you know, your pussy level done went up to here. Some niggas never had nothing. Now you got this, you the baddest nigga in the hood and you got the baddest chick. That the homie over there didn't like that because he wanted her, and now you got her because you making money. Now you subject to get killed because cats in the hood is mad at you.
Yeah.
And so it was all bad. And if anybody think that they can sit in front of me and say, oh man, it was cracking. No, we all lost. It was terrible. It was bad. And that would change the dynamics of the neighborhood. That's when the neighborhood, you can see it fall. You can see in the homie's eyes that you were best friends with. because they mama on drugs. They was embarrassed and they felt a certain kind of way. Then the homies is seeing the mama hanging by the schools. She walking, hair tilted to and that angered a lot of dudes. A lot of my homeboys, some of them in the penitentiary now because mama fell by the wayside. So ain't nobody walked out of there and still alive today can say it was cracking.
Yeah, and I'm gonna give you a prime example. I was just speaking today with B-Boy and another brother by the name of D and a cat named Jay. You never know who you're gonna be on the phone with when it comes to y'all. As a matter of fact, I just want to share the reason why I met you is because I called B-Boy on his birthday to give him a birthday shout out. And while we was talking and catching up, he said, "Hold on, man, I got Mob James calling me." And then once he merged you onto the line, I recognized your voice immediately. You know what I'm saying? So I just wanted to say that I looked up to you from the first time that I heard you on Vlad's show. But back to my example I wanted to give, what I talked about today is, and you just said it, that people hate the one that comes out winning, so to speak. And my example is Jay-Z. And what I say is that Jay-Z did what every hustler that I know set out to do as far as to get in the game, to make a lot of money, to somehow go legit, still stay rich, and have one of the finest women on the planet with your last name. You understand what I'm saying? And if you look now, you hear people say, "Oh, he's not that good of a rapper. He's not this, he's not that," and everything else. But how can you argue with the success he had? And he's quick to say, "I don't want you to," how do you say on the song? "I'm not telling you to go sell dope." No, Hov did that, so hopefully you won't have to go back to that. You know what I mean? So you're right. We saw it firsthand in the neighborhood, but that's an example I think everybody could see and identify with. He is the one that I could think of that, they try to put a little slander on his name and everything else, and he's still emerging, scot-free as of now. You know what I mean? So in a way, it's admirable because, like I said, it's all about becoming legit and still being able to live your life. You see what I'm saying? So how did you personally avoid, because this is what I want to say, people in your age group, I'm not going to say they was test done. I'm not going to say that. What I will say is that, like, for instance, when you come to a certain age and that weed joint start getting passed around, you with your buddy, matter of fact, you just going to go and hit it. Same thing with the Newport, same thing with the Strawberry Bowls Farm, and so forth. So I know that there was an era when, like Too Short said, snorting and puffing, that's the life. You know what I mean? And then he said it's all over when you hit that pipe. So what I'm saying is, without knowing what your history is, and you could share, I'm just asking you to share, how did you avoid getting consumed by it? Let's put it like that. Consumed by it, meaning you didn't do the 30 years in jail. You're not strung out on Skid Row or nothing like that. Did you understand that question?
Yeah. You know what? And when the cocaine came to us, we all tried it. We was all doing the primo. Some of the homeboys are still strung out behind smoking primos or whatever.
What is a primo? Let us know. What is a primo?
Weed and cocaine mixed together.
Okay, all right.
And I was doing it with PCP. Me, I did it in cigarette. I never did marijuana in my life. I didn't like marijuana. Going to prison, I think I was 20 when I went to prison. And I think prison put a stop to it, and we looking at it like we going to the Vermont drive-in and we got 5, 6, 7 cars in the line and everybody out there getting high and, drinking our beer, our Super Sacco and gin or whatever the case might be. But when I took prison, my first time, I took prison and I looked at prison. The only thing these niggas got in here is a knife. The only thing they doing over here is this. And listening to the older guys, man, I use that right here. I paroled in 1988. Never went back to prison. Prison was in Fort Worth. The only thing I can do in that motherfucker is fight or stab a motherfucker. So that was my forte. I ain't got time. Prison wasn't sitting in a room where I couldn't come out. I didn't like that shit. So I never went back to prison.
Yeah.
When I came home from prison, I fucked up and went back to, let's say, my old ways in 92 and did 8-9 months fighting the case. Once that was over, I haven't seen a jail or nothing else. So I started to learn and understand. I'm getting older. I need to grow the fuck up. Because I had no choice sitting there, like, why the fuck did I whoop this dude and I didn't even have to do that? I wasted another 9 months of my life on moving on and doing me because I went back to my foolish ways. So I said, fuck that. And that's when I started making the shit make sense. Either you do this, understanding your consequences, the repercussions of what you're doing,
right.
This is living. So I stayed away from it. And I just learned how to live and, you know, I said, fuck it, let me get married. Let me try something different. Got married and she didn't work out. And I said, there's another one out there. I did it again. And, you know, just trying to make shit work for me to keep me. So that was what saved me. You know, just opening my eyes and paying attention and shit. And I ain't look back, you know. We were speaking earlier about, you know, when you try to move on with your life, that's where all the criticism and people want to criticize you for moving on. You know, that happened with me with my little brother. Once I denounced or said, I'm not Bob James, called me James McDonald, me and him ain't talk. You know? Well, more power to your homeboy. Go and live your life. I'm living mine. I'm not here. Can't nobody dictate my life. And I understand that. So if I'm living this life and you want to be mad, I'm raising my grandkids. If you want to be mad, then be mad. And I mean that for, I don't care who walking this planet. You just gonna be mad. Don't be mad in front of me. That's all I'm saying. If you want to be mad, stay over there where you at and go on your little podcast and talk and say you this, that, or the other.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that.
It sounds like you had that day of reckoning where you got to the point to where you realize, and this is important for a lot of people to understand, that what you don't want. You know what I mean? Where you don't want to be and what you don't want in your life. So you say, okay, there got to be something better. So therefore you start looking for that better as opposed to, been there, done that. Let's see what's over. Let's go in this way. Get a wife and have my family, raise my grandchild, and so on and so forth. And again, what I was going to say earlier, where we connect, I did the same thing with my son. I raised, my mother helped me. We raised my older son, and then we did a joint custody of my younger son. They just turned 33 and 27, you know what I mean? And neither one of them been in jail. I did everything I could to keep them off that path. Even when we ride and listen to the Lil Wayne and Tupac and so forth, every so often I had to press pause on the tape deck and let them know, Lil Wayne ain't really doing this kind of stuff, and don't y'all get too excited about all that, you know what I mean? And I'm thankful that they had enough ear to listen and not go that route, you know. But on the rap thing, and we're about to transition right here, Exhibit once said he once compared the crack game and the rap game, saying that they operate similarly. Do you agree with that, knowing what you know?
We've had the beginning, and this was the environment. But what comes next is where everything changes. In part 3, we get into Suge Knight, Death Row Records, and how Mob James stepped into that world.
Welcome to Death Row.
You don't want to miss that.
I know that The rap game, let me say this. There's some cutthroat motherfuckers all over this planet. I don't care if it's business, I got a business partner or whatever.
True.
The rap game, and this is what a lot of cats don't want to take heed and say, yeah, you right.